to do, disguise is enough to do.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Why so serious?
I can crush you like a worm.
At my signal, unleash hell.
Do or do not. There is no try.
All right. Hey, everyone. I hope you can hear us. We just want to make sure that we're going on YouTube. For some reason, the tech world, the dual streaming to Facebook didn't work tonight. I have to work in every single other night, but that's fine. We want everyone to move over to YouTube anyways. So welcome to Christian Warrior Talk Live. We have, a lot to talk about as usual, and a lot of fears to dispel, and and then some concerns. I want to talk about in this episode the threat that I think we're going to be dealing with the rest of this year and for the foreseeable future, no matter what happens with the election. And then what you need to prep, for 30 days to be in your house. We did a special last year for COVID for that. And this threat is very different than COVID. And therefore requires different prepping. And the other thing you're going to see about prepping is it really depends on where you live, whether you live in the city or you live in the, in the suburbs, or if you live way out in the sticks versus, do you live in a cold climate in the winter or in the summer in a hot climate? Mm-hmm. It's all very different, all over the place. So, so there's an awful lot there to unpack. So one of the things I want to take a moment to right now is I don't have any chat right now. For some reason, the chat's down.
Okay, I'm watching.
You got the chat?
I'll watch it, yep.
Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is all the disinformation that's going out there. I made a post, was it yesterday? Did that go out?
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday, about stop sharing stuff that you can't verify.
Please.
All right. So we've been guilty of this too. You get something, you feel like it looks kind of legitimate. You want it to be true. You want it to be true so darn bad. And you share it. And then it turns out to be crap. So my confession is I shared the WikiLeaks dump stuff because I got that from a very trusted source.
What happened with that?
It was old. It was the same stuff that was dumped 5 years ago.
Oh, really?
Or whatever.
Oh, very
a very long time ago. So you had a lot of people, and to this day,
you're still getting
I'm still getting it again. Like, I'm a member of a certain, several SEAL community boards, and every once in a while I'll see a guy drop that, and I'll be like, hey, man, I got fooled by that too. That's all old stuff. None of it's new.
In the moment, obviously, it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
But then the next morning, I remember
there was nothing on TV.
There's nothing on the news about this. That's kind of odd. So either it's already being squashed or there's something kind of weird. So we have Salty Sam is with us tonight.
All right.
He said, good evening and deja vu.
Hey, how's it going? So again, you got to stop spreading the misinformation. I want to tell you why. America's enemies, both foreign and domestic, are trying to make us doubt everything we see and everyone we know. So if we discredit ourselves over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, no one's going to believe a single thing we say when it comes time to, hey, this time it's the truth.
No, it's the typical boy who cried wolf story,
right,
on the political scale.
And that is really, it's really important that we get out of that, we have to get out of that, or like I said, when we all, when the big thing happens, we're going to go. And the thing is, I'm seeing like all kinds of stuff. Like I saw a Mike Pompeo tweet I thought it was a tweet, telling everyone to get, like 21 days of food and water. And then I looked at the address and it was like Mike Pompeo SEC. That was the handle.
Yeah.
And his 2 Twitter handles are Secretary Pompeo and Mike Pompeo. Right? So it was his picture. It looked legitimate. All those things, but they just changed the back end of it.
Look for usernames.
Yeah.
Look for platforms that have that, like the blue check. Look for that.
Well, the thing is go to their page and check and see if you can find that tweet.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way I've been
I
confirming
think,
things.
a lot of kind of typos are usually a giveaway. Comments are giveaway. User or follower amounts.
So I've seen everything that Trump has signed the Insurrection Act. I've seen that, I've heard that almost every day. I've gotten like a super secret message from someone that he did it tonight, or tonight's the big raids, or, commandos stormed all these things.
That you came up and shared with me this morning.
Yeah, today I saw a video supposedly from Trump, saying that on the 20th, be in D.C. and we're going to fight. And it was a very well done video, and it made me I won't lie, I was emotional to see it. And I was so happy to see that, oh my God, he's speaking to me. And then I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna dig in this. Before I share into this, I'm gonna dig with it, because it was a link saying this is where Trump is at Cloud Hub. Yeah. And then I went to Cloud Hub, and it was not his account.
Yeah, it was a fake profile.
So
someone had said that they were reposting his video, and what is that doing? That's driving traffic to their channel,
right? So they were trying to steal millions of views to go over there, which I don't really care about. That it's about getting the message out. We have to verify that he's saying that, or else we get a bunch of people showing up and he's not going to be there.
It was his voice, and I think that they
spliced a bunch of
editing, and they pulled stuff that he said from all of his rallies. It was all this encouraging stuff, and put it together to reflect the messaging that we've been getting through other
they took
things
as
the actions to take, and this is the new day for America.
America Reborn and all this imagery, and it was QAnon stuff, and it was QAnon stuff.
And
there was a bunch of on the bottom with like the whatever WWG1 whatever the heck it stands, and I'm like, man, it may be true, it may be his video, but I went to his MeWe account. It wasn't there. I went to, several other places, and I couldn't find anything. And I'm like, that would be pounded out.
Yes.
And then, no one was reporting on it.
Yes.
So now, literally, anytime it's like world breaking news, guys, I go to the Epic Times to see if they're reporting on it. I also go to Newsweek, not Newsweek, Newsmax, and I also go to OEN and One American News, and a few others, but my first stop is the Epic Times. I've yet to see them step on themselves and retract something.
Slower than some of the other sources, but it's worth waiting for.
But I would rather be slower and accurate than what we've been seeing lately.
Hi, Brandy. Thanks for joining us. I think one thing that was kind of important to note is how long it took you to go and do your due diligence on this video from the time that you found it and decided to look. You were digging for a little while, and I think that's the key, that no one wants to put in that time, so they just hit share. So if everyone stopped, it takes work to verify all of these things.
It does take work, and I know you guys don't want to do it, but I'm just saying, we've got so many friends who are misinformed, and it's why everyone calls us crazy, right? Because all we do is we share all these things we want to be true. Social media jaded us with the fact checking, and now it's just out of control. I get individual messages from tons of people a day that are totally confused, and I spend half my time debunking the stories.
And it is going to drive some people to do things based on information that they believe to be true that is not true.
Right.
And they go and do an act that's irreversible and change their lives, thinking that they're doing it kind of, for America or for Trump or
right.
And I know, and I've talked to you about this a couple times, kind of, are there any apples to apples or any correlations between what is going on right now with that the right is experiencing versus what went on over the summer with what the left was experiencing with BLM and all of the social justice movements and stuff. And from the outside perspective, from people who are not invested in that movement, we can look at that and say they are acting on a bunch of lies. Like if you go and look at the facts, you can say all of this injustice stuff, the numbers don't add up to the police shootings and all of this stuff, but they believe it. They've been fed that. And most of those people are acting based on what is true to them, based on the information fed to them. And I just wonder how much of what we're doing right now is the same thing. The people on the outside of that can say, these people are acting on information that is blatantly false.
Right.
But we are so invested in believing in it because we want to believe it.
Well, because the media
that
really...
we then go and we.
Right.
I'm saying we, being certain people within the right conservative movement, are going and doing things that reflect poorly based on information that's just not true.
Yeah, and that's the key. Listen, I want us to have the strongest response possible. I want us to be, strong in our beliefs, strong in our convictions, patriotic, always God first, and moving forward. And I'm willing to follow Trump through the gates of hell. But at the same time, I don't want to be a fool. Right. Yeah. And that's why I'm waiting for him to say it. I'm waiting it to come from him in other places.
Well, that's why this video
or Don Jr.
So,
or Eric or any of the others that are going to be out there. That's why this video was so powerful today. I mean, I teared up on it.
Yeah.
It was everything I wanted to hear. And I'm like, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
So it's America's enemies using our patriotism against us and doing things. And, again, If there's a war, I'll be on the front line, right? But I'm just saying, so it's not me trying to get out of that or anything. I'm just saying that we have to be careful and we have to be better than what we're doing, because right now everyone's confused, and with confusion comes tragedy.
Yes.
Right. So all that stuff. So guys, I wish I spoke all these languages. We've got a lot of dudes from overseas or people who know how to use great things. The dude with the lion, the purple like Lowenbrow lion, that is what it looks like from the beer. You said, what's up? I can't even pronounce that. So you tell me what you want to call you, brother, and I will say what's up back to you. Thank you for the 9 o'clock program. You both are awesome, and your mission is so helpful in today's world. Thank you, Steve. And I just want to say I'm really happy to be on at 9 o'clock. We asked you guys what you wanted.
Friday is going to be the drinking version.
Yeah, Friday is our drinking version.
Monday's
all right.
the tea version.
Yeah, tea and coffee. I have been busy all day today, so I actually have to work out at 10 o'clock.
To be called.
What's he want to be?
Archangel.
All right, Archangel, you got it. Or Archangel, whichever one.
Is that
Archangel, yeah, Archangel. So, all good. So 9 o'clock's great. But I got to go work out. I'm going to be working out at 10 to midnight tonight. Isn't that awesome? Which means I'll probably won't sleep till 2 because my heart rate will be through the ceiling, and then the cycle starts all over again tomorrow.
We got to fix that.
All right. So let's talk about the challenges we're going to be facing this year. The left really seems like they are driving us into civil war. They're driving us into violence right now, and it's pretty bad. I don't want it to happen. I want us to have a peaceful resolution. I want us to come together. But, when they think they've won the election, they have it there, and they are just continuing to attack Trump supporters and continuing to attack Trump and trying to impeach him and trying to do all these things instead of trying to heal right now. Like literally, I think they would drop the temperature in the room if they just reached across and just showed us things, and it would lull us maybe into a false sense of security of, hey, they're going to be another do-nothing
if they showed us
administration.
Some things in the election, you're saying?
Yeah, like if they just chilled and just said, hey, all right, Trump's going away, but instead they just keep driving this. And what I think they're trying to do is all right, it's Greek for Archangel. All right, brother, that's great. Really cool looking, and it looks like a lot of letters to say Archangel. I'm just saying. That's why the Greek Empire fell.
It took too long to say anything, and then they were slashed.
Any of the orders were like 3,000 pages, 3,000 words when it only needed 2. Anyway, so what was I saying?
You were talking about the left and what they should do and false sense of security.
Yeah, I think they would have given us we would have relaxed a bit, and it might have been a smoother transition. Instead, they've stayed at battle stations this whole time, and it has legitimately driven us further into our corners. It lets us know that they will never be rational. Yeah. They are not going to come to the table. They're going to hunt and persecute us and do everything they possibly can to punish Trump supporters going on. And they're going after people in the Trump administration, like all their press corps saying that they can't get any jobs and on and on and on these things. Yeah. And then these tech companies, like literally, yeah. I expect liberals to do whatever. That's their, not liberals. They're not liberals. They're corporatists. So let me corporatist globalists is what they are. So again, that's just a habit with me saying liberals. They are not liberals. Hopefully we didn't just get all right. I thought we got taken off the air, which wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, there's a little dip there.
So, but the corporatists and the globalists in Silicon Valley, they really have like thrown down the gauntlet and have 100% are just proactively stifling people's speech. Like not fining them for what they said or suspending them for what they said. We're just going to take you down because we know at some point you're going to say something. And that's not the world we live in. But like if there was any, place that should be getting all the attention, it should be those platforms, those companies that are censoring 1/2 of the population.
Yeah, and I haven't, the only thing I've seen, and I haven't looked too deeply to look for people's responses.
I've seen a lot of people canceling Prime and getting off Amazon.
But the only thing that I have seen from people on the left, and as far as kind of, is anyone in a position of authority going to say, this is, what are you doing?
Dershowitz is the only one.
And I've seen praise, our Senator Mark Warner here in Virginia, who's like, it's about time. And, this is just one step and many that need to happen.
So let me be the voice of reason here. If you don't let us talk and you don't let us vent and you don't hear us and you don't give us, it's going to drive people to violence.
It's like,
that's the only answer.
Well, the analogy that just came to this dog trainer's mind is people who punish their dog for growling, that dog then will bite because you told them don't growl.
Right.
And that's the next step for them to communicate.
Right. So
and
now
they're telling us not to growl.
So now we can't protest, right? We can't do all the other things out there, protest, get on social media, vent, do whatever, being silenced by the big media. Big media won't entertain anyone. They won't even they don't even cover the president's speeches anymore. All these things. So it only leaves one option, right? If talking is not the option and protesting, which is our First Amendment right, which is guaranteed by the Constitution, which all of these people who were just spent the past year telling us that was true with their supporters and people who they believe in, it only leaves one thing. And what that thing is, people, and what I want to tell you and what we need to prepare for is we need to start preparing for the overwhelming violence, the active shooter, the mass shootings, the car bombings, the pipe bombings, the marathon bombings, the kidnappings, the retaliatory stuff. That is what's coming here. Like third world country, Northern Ireland IRA stuff is coming to America.
Well, don't you think that in the twisted way that's what they want to have happen? Because then that's going to reinforce the gun grabbing agenda. That if a few deranged Trump supporters go and do some significant violent act, especially with a gun,
I agree.
See, we're justified.
It is going to be see what they justify, but. Again, this is a totally unique problem. America's culture is guns. There's more guns here than anywhere in the world. And it's not a simple matter of, hey, turn your guns in because, we're not Australia.
Yeah.
Australia is the size, and we have states with more people than Australia has in it, right? So you're right. It is part of the plan, Salty Sam. So my thoughts on this, and can you again pop over to Facebook and make sure that, and again put it out there that we are over here, because I just feel terrible that we had technical difficulty over there. The first active shooter that happens, they're going to do that. But here's the thing: we are primed right now. We are a house, full of natural gas, and all we need is one spark, and the whole place is going to blow. And I think once that happens, once we have one mass shooting, everyone's going to do it, especially if they're successful. I think that there will be copycats and the most unstable, like every side has unstable people that have nothing to lose, are depressed, and they're crazy. Every side is crazy people.
Yes.
Right? I mean, no matter what, every side is crazy people. And one side's going to do it, then the other side's going to retaliate, and then the other side. And then it's going to be an escalation of horrors. 10 killed. Well, we got to kill 20. Well, we got to kill 30. Well, we killed, politicians. Well, we're going to kill politicians and their family, and then this and that. And that's how it works. And it turns the world into hell. And it's awful. I don't want it for my country.
No.
And the thing is nobody really knows who anyone is at that point. Like if your wife and kids, you may be like, hey, I support that happening. Your wife and kids happen to be walking by, walking by that politician's house and get killed in the crossfire. That's literally what we're talking about. We're talking about our society devolving into, tribal warfare, which is what's been going on in the Middle East for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Right.
And once that starts, it's almost impossible to ever stop it. The Hatfield and McCoys, of the Legends of the West and all that stuff carried on for a really long time. And once that starts, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle.
Do you believe that it would continue in this kind of small pockets of individuals or small groups of people doing things versus the kind of when you think Civil War, you think kind of larger coordinated efforts?
It's not. Well, one, I'll tell you why we're screwed on the Civil War aspect, or why the right is. We're all alphas. We all think we have the way, and we're terrible followers. Right? So you've got everybody who's going to try to lead their own way. No one's going to follow. And you can look at that in our movement. Right? If you look at the left, they all united behind BLM. Right? That was their mantra, BLM, 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 BLM. What do we have? We had a million different marches, a million different calls, a million different things. Everyone put their own brand on it. Everyone did their own thing, and all the message was kind of, right? And, and I'm sorry, they use law and order against us. They use law and order against us because law and order, which I considered myself a law and order candidate, but law and order is not law and order when it's only applied to one side. The left can do whatever the heck they want, and the right can't do anything. Right. So that's oppression.
Yeah.
And when the left can speak and say whatever they want, they can literally have a woman with Donald Trump's cut off head. Right. And that's no big deal. But, Trump can go over there and say peacefully protest, and he's inciting violence. Yeah. Like, I don't understand it, right? We are not in the strong position strategy. We have few allies. You're right. But again, I think there's a way for us to have a strong position in this. There's a couple ways to go about this. There's the kinetic way to go about this, and then there's the way that's been proven to work twice in history against overwhelming odds, and that's legitimately peaceful protest of Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Because we have a hostile media, right? Meaning if we meet force with force, right? If we meet force with force, we will always get the negative coverage. It'll always be our fault. And no matter what, we won't win the PR battle around the world because the globalists do everything.
Yeah.
If we peacefully protest and they can't get footage of us doing anything other than that, it's going to be hard for them to spin that way. Will they cover it? That's the other thing. Yeah. Right? If we have no social media platforms anymore where we can't be citizen journalists to cover it, right? And the news media refuses it. So again, I don't know if it works. I'm just talking about theories here, and I'm willing to work. I kind of like a hybrid theory where we have a bunch of people who are purposefully overly vulnerable, and then a ring of protection around them. So the people who would be fighting, who is coming against them, would be to protect the defenseless. That to me would be, I don't know. To me, that seems to be the secret sauce.
Yeah.
Right. Defenseless, women and children in the center, protesting, doing whatever, pipe hitter, badasses on the outside defending their families,
Yeah.
right? And defending the vulnerable.
Messages will continue to be spun, though.
They will. They will. If you meet force with force, this will be over in a day. Strack. I don't know what strack means, brother. I'm sorry, Will Davis. But here is my... If Trump was in power and he controlled the military so they wouldn't get involved and there wouldn't be military against civilians, I 100% agree with you that if the right veteran community, former special operatives, former military, good old boys, hunters, and all that stuff did that, it would be over in 24 hours. I completely agree with you. Here's the thing. Once the military or Homeland Security or conventional forces get deployed, or the UN or whoever, that's over. Because, until you see what a Cobra gunship can do, or a drone or any of those other stuff, there is no way... there's no way to do that.
The citizen has is going to counter
right.
that.
So then you got to do like an insurgency where you try to blend in. The thing is everywhere we're running insurgency, they're like in third world cave land. They know everything about you guys. You guys have, we've all been outraged on social media. They have you scored on how likely you are to, to be a problem. They know where you're at. They know your bank accounts. There may be an extremely small percentage of people who are living off grid that they don't know, but they're going to be able to find you. These are not the days of that. Facial recognition software, cameras everywhere, these everywhere. It's totally different. I've heard people say, hey, we've been fighting terrorists with flip-flops and AK-47s in the desert, but they weren't trying to hold on to territory. They would just bleed back in. And there is an unconventional warfare here, which would be snipers against snipers, or again, terrorist attacks against terrorist attacks, or freedom fighters versus terrorism attacks. Whatever your label you want to put on it, half the population is going to think the other way,
right? And
it just devolves into absolutely crazy. Wait, go vote and chill out, old guy. You don't want this lean and mean. I don't know what you're saying, Will Davis. I'm trying to talk through this with you, but that's the last time I'll read one of your comments. So anyway, so what's it say? Trump did not instigate the animosity. It's like blame Joe. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm on the same side with, 99%, everybody with probably but Will Davis, it appears. I want America to heal. I want America to go back to Judeo-Christian principles. Yeah. I want, us to be one nation, red, white, and blue again. I'd love to be able to watch sports again without having politics jammed down my throat. Yeah. I've given up. I haven't watched any male sports, and I won't. The only sports I'll watch as a kid. So, again, there's a lot of... There's just a lot of hate and angst, as you can see in our chat.
Yeah, and then we have Lou and Carol. We've become subjects, not citizens. That's what happens when you lose your rights to free speech, keeping arms, etc.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And then Jonathan Ash said it would be hard to know who the enemy is. Unconventional warfare, for sure.
Yeah, so I've banned Will Davis, so he's out. We have become subjects, and that is part of the problem. It is something that we're dealing with, and we lost this in the messaging, and we lost this when we all got too busy. Mm-hmm. We legitimately got too busy to care. Yeah. Right. So we let generation after generation of kids be brainwashed into socialism, and the AOC's now, her generation is now, right, the clueless, coddled American is now the power brokers of it. Mm-hmm. The narrow path is the option, and I don't know how to move forward with the narrow option. I don't know if our system, to me, the only option is to do this. It's to retreat to like-minded states where you believe they're going to try to defend your constitutional rights within those states, and where they'll stand up for those citizens, and then kind of wait for America to see how bad this is. And hopefully, which is a big hope, hopefully we then America comes to its senses and we can turn it around. But if they're going to fix every election like they just did, and you can't ever win another legitimate election, well, then it's just running out time or waiting for some type of force to rise up and declare sides, some secession plan, some, whatever. Somebody out there with the means and the know-how and, whether it be state legislatures, governors banding together, states banding together to give us a plan B. I think that's legitimately the only option.
Well, and then obviously there's always the important piece of keeping God in the loop on this. I think it was Pastor Ken had an interesting sermon on Sunday, and I don't know if you plan to talk to him about it on Wednesday. About
he is yet to confirm this Wednesday. So
what he sees as the option of how we're supposed to act right now, what we're supposed to do right now, saying that the violence aspect is not the answer, and that it's continuing just to desperate prayers and trying to go out there and talk to people and continue to turn people towards Jesus and all of that I think everyone needs to step up their game on, kind of increase the desperation with which we go after people and try to help them see the way.
If everyone turns to biblically based faith and turns to God and turns to Jesus, the country will straighten itself out. But the problem is I don't know how to do that on scale. Only he can do that on scale. So I really think it's going to be about retreating into our communities, and growing a sound foundation from there of, it can be done. Look at the Amish.
Yeah.
They've been doing it in a secular society, growing their own things, following their beliefs and doing what they do. We can do the same exact thing.
Do you think that we will be left alone the same way?
I don't think we're going to be left alone, but that's why we have to go to red states that'll defend that. If we all pack up and move to red states, they can't possibly outvote us. And what do we believe in as Christians? We should be fruitful and multiply. So we'll keep having children, and the secularists won't. It's what the Muslims do over in England and Germany and Switzerland and Norway. None of the locals, none of the natives there have kids, whereas the Muslims have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So again, they're going to open the borders and, flood us with things. And that's why we just have to have states that are going to enforce our laws the way that they're going to enforce their laws. And I'm sorry, if you're on a border state, no matter if you're Texas or not, I think you're in for some dark days. I would love to see Texas be the beacon of freedom that they are, but I think they're like 50, 40, 50-something percent to 40-something percent.
Yep.
And, come to upstate South Carolina. Jonathan Ash, we are considering Greenville, South Carolina. Lauren is really pushing there. It's just so darn hot, brother. But it's so darn hot.
There's some nice parts, right?
No, it's all hot. It's all hot. You would, the places that would be cool wouldn't be close enough to your metropolitan hubs that you like to go to so much.
Whatever.
That you've never been to in your life. Oh, hey, Jonathan, that's great. Hopefully I said something that made some sense. But so we're looking right now at Mountainville, Tennessee, or northeastern Tennessee, not too far from Boone. We were looking in West Virginia, but we saw the small business laws, or heard the small business laws there were terrible after 50-something years of rule of Democrat governance there, that it's pretty terrible. So literally it's Tennessee and South Carolina right now, maybe North Carolina, but I just don't feel that North Carolina is going to be able to stay red much longer.
Yeah.
They have too many big cities, too many colleges, and wherever that is,
looking like, yeah.
That's the problem. Texas has been changed by people moving there from the coast.
Yep.
Absolutely, Monica, and it's because all the liberal businesses are bringing their people there, right? So
Yeah, I'm sure they probably cringe. People in there probably cringe every time they see a new headline of a big,
yeah,
what is the word? Silicon Valley company.
yeah. I mean, all it takes is one Amazon processing center, and you got like 20,000 employees there. That could totally change a voting district.
Yep.
You know, and all those other things. So, you know, when you have all the money and you can do all these things, it gets pretty scary.
Yes.
You know, now obviously they don't move all those people there and all that stuff. But, you know, again, what I'm afraid is going to happen is that is what is happening right now, where one ideology is out in the open, which is the left, and all of us are all underground, or going to have a force underground, which I won't. The North is too cold for you,
Sam.
Idaho, Montana. No, you're speaking my heart, Salty Sam, but my wife has become a soft Southerner. So I am trying to find the highest altitude in the South to still have some type of weather like up north and still seeing snow. And
His wife goes outside a lot more than he does, so he can be whatever climate-controlled, happy, whatever inside, and I'm the one out there walking the dogs in the cold. So
I'll walk the dogs in the cold if we move to Montana. Deal?
Yeah, no.
I'll walk the dogs every day. You'll never have to walk the dogs again if we go to Alaska. That's where I want to go. My goal would be Alaska.
Yeah.
Far enough away that they'll never care. They'll just leave you alone.
Okay, if we can.
I mean, you're basically Canada, right? Is that's what they think.
right.
You know, so.
Yep.
You know, so anyways, that's what we're thinking about, and we're having to put our house on the market. The economy hasn't picked up, so as of, you know, probably next month, so we're going to be back on the market trying to figure out where we're going. We just, you know,
Because 2 moves within 5 months just wasn't enough.
Right.
We are going to try for 3 moves within 10 months? Is that what that was?
give me another option. Do you have another option?
No, I'm just saying.
Do you have another option? I mean, if you got another
I'm just
option,
saying.
I'm up for it.
I'm just telling the people.
Yeah.
Little cray. The whole
right.
suckers for punishment thing, that's real.
All right. So let's get into what you're going to need for 30 days. All right. This is very different than a COVID list, right? Last year we did the same exact thing for COVID, and it's completely different because you're worried about the germs, and we didn't know what was going on, and we had a lot of decon gear, and we had all that stuff. That's not what's needed for what's coming. What's coming is violence. So the first thing you need when it comes to violence is you need to get a firearm in your house, and you need to have ammo. All right. So firearm and ammo is the first 2 things that you need to have. Then you need to figure out how you're going to defend your house if you're going to defend your house, right? Talk to your family. If it's, you know, people kicking in your basement to steal your food because they know you have food because you told everyone you had food in the neighborhood and they're there, what are you going to do, right? The next thing you're going to need is a minimum of 30 days of food. All right. Now it's wintertime, and if you're up north, 30 days of food can be literally anything because it'll all freeze in the outside, and you can, you know, and you have natural refrigeration outside with the temperatures. That's way different than 30 days of food in Florida in the summer, right? There's only really one. Canned goods will work there, or dehydrated foods will work there, right?
And is this assuming that you don't have all of your utilities up and
Yeah,
running?
I'm just
as
talking
far
about if you
as,
don't
like,
have your
freezer
utilities
space
up and
stuff
running.
like that?
And that's not what I mean, maybe if there was some terrorism going on, they'll knock out your power grid, particularly in rural counties where it's real easy to do. I mean, it's one set of transformers or whatever, and they take that out and everyone loses
But
power and you're
otherwise, if you
screwed.
have a chest freezer or something, your
But,
30 days could include
if
stuff that goes
exactly. And, you know, we're not talking about a true apocalyptic event where an EMP knocked out all electricity and all machines and everything else going, right? We're talking about, so food and water. Now, it's hard to get a gallon of water per day per person and store it in your house, right? So that's why you want to get a water filter. And Berkey, BEA, Berkie.
EY.
Or Key.
Berkey, yeah.
All right. They're these big stainless steel tubes of water that you can literally put pond water in, stream water in. We have a 33,000 gallon above ground pool out there that is our water supply, right? That's what we'll use to drink and all that stuff when it's time. And then we have the creek water down there that we'll use to flush toilets and all that stuff, right? So one of the things that you can do in your house is go and get those rubber sink things and fill every tub you have in your house to flush your toilet, right? So again, fill them all the way up, put a rubber seal on there. You can use and make sure, because your normal drains, they typically still leak. You'll wake up and your tub will still be all that.
Yeah.
So make sure you use a lot of stuff to keep that down. You're going to want to have, a first aid kit, a robust first aid kit, right? Because the hospitals and everything.
More of a trauma kit versus first
like
aid
a
kit.
trauma kit but also, tons of Neosporin, tons of disinfectant, tons of alcohol, tons of hydrogen peroxide, tons of rubbing alcohol. All those things are all the things you're going to want to need, as well as a good antibacterial soap, right?
We have a question. If government isn't running, why would utilities?
Well, if they can order the utilities to run, it just depends on that. If there are no utilities and if you don't have solar heating, you're screwed. Right, solar or your own wind farm or whatever the heck you got, you're screwed. That's a whole
different level of this.
Right, that's a whole different level of prep. If you have that type of stuff going on, you've been thinking about this a while, and you don't need to tell you the 30 things you're going to need right now, right? So again, you're looking at that. Part of that is also meds. Call your doctor, tell them you're concerned, and see if you can get a couple months supply of your meds in advance. Right, because of everything that's going on. Say you're afraid to go in town, blah, 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 blah. This, whatever it takes, get a few months of meds in advance that you have, right? That you can have that so you don't have to go in town. The 60 to 90 days is all about not having to go where the trouble is.
Okay.
All right. That's basically what the food and holding out in your home, your castle is. Some places are going to be not defensible. You live in the inner city and gangs have spun up and they're going around and they're looking for Trump supporters and, or whatever. Let's say that, I'm just talking 100% fiction here. Let's say some quasi-white supremacist group goes out there and hits some, BLM rally, whatever. Everybody who knows somebody who voted for Trump is now going to be a target in that neighborhood, and they're going to associate with that, particularly if they're a mask, and they're going to whatever. So it's got the potential to spiral out of control really fast. We've already seen what it looks like when the police don't do anything, right? So you're not going to be able to count on them for protection. So getting out of the cities again is part of this, right? Going and staying with family out there. Don't be that person who shows up empty-handed. Come with your food and your water and your firearms and your skill set and everything you have. Be an asset. All right, you got to be an asset when you show up, or else you're just another tick or a leech, right? And people are not going to be able to take all that many of those on, right? If you got to show up with something in your hand, either a skill set or supplies or something that you're willing to do, a work ethic that you're willing to bust your ass to do whatever, and do all the hard stuff that no one else wants to do, because that's you don't have anything else to offer.
Brandy's asking, how many bottles of alcohol?
As many. All these things are as many as you can get, right? It's as many as you can get. And obviously TP, as we all saw.
Yep, start collecting again.
And baby wipes, if your septic tank can hold them. If you can't, baby wipes and toilet paper, or, baby wipes will work in a trash bag.
Yeah.
And then you just take your trash bag, you have a collection point very far away, and that's where it goes.
Yep.
Right.
And then we have a couple comments. Sawyer water filters are decent, portable, slow filtering, but they last a long time. And someone said, agreed. The Sawyer squeeze is less than $30 and can filter more water than a person will need in a lifetime.
Awesome.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. There's also some, instead of TP, there are some water-powered bidets that are fired by water pressure. We bought one last time. We didn't need it. And but a water-powered bidet can be really, really helpful. You don't have to use the TP, and it'll save your rolls. Instead of burning through a roll, however often you do it, you'll multiply that by 10. How long it'll last. So again, preventing you from having to go in town to do that. Baby wipes never ran out of stock. They were there and all that stuff.
They were being rationed, though.
Were they?
Yeah. So we have a question from Archangel. What did you use as a Navy SEAL? Gatorade bottles.
Yeah, get wide mouth Gatorade bottles is what I packed in.
Not that you need.
When we would go in and we wouldn't want to leave anything behind for dogs to track us or anything like that. So literally, wide mouth Gatorade bottles would be an option for that.
And so all the women say, I'm not going to poop for the next 30 days.
Yeah. So, the duct tape that I said, that's just to fix anything. You can fix a lot of things with duct tape and 550 cord, which is just really, heavy duty cord that you can tie, string that you can tie things up with. I also remember, if you have pets, you want to have 30 to 90 days of pet food. All right. Your pets are not going to be able to live comfortably off your scraps anymore because there isn't going to be very many. All right.
That's a lot of bags of dog food.
Yes, it is. You're going to want batteries. You're going to want to get as many batteries as you can. And getting solar powered lights are great. Solar powered lights, everything solar that you can get. They're all cheap right now. Go out and buy them so you can have them. So if the power does go, that you have something that charges all day and it's going to last 6 hours.
Yes.
And that night, so you're not using your disposable, non-rechargeable batteries, that you're using the solar ones for when they're good, and then you go to your backups. You're going to want some tools. The first thing start off is with a Leatherman multi-tool because, it's got so many things in one. But you're going to want to have all your basic tools, right, to work with anything you got. Everything from a hammer, saw, screwdrivers, the whole deal, because you're not going to be able to go out. You're not going to want to go out and get all that stuff. Multiple ways to cook food. Everything from, everyone who's got a grill, go out and get, as many propane tanks as you can, afford and have those there, because that is a way to cook all the time. That's there for you if you need it. Because, unless natural gas or, electricity or whatever may not be there. All right. And then always, if you can, have a way to burn wood depending on where you live. Obviously, you're in the city, you're not going to have access to wood.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're out there and you're rural, again, it depends on where you live. Right. If you're in the desert, finding wood isn't going to be all that easy to cook with.
Yeah.
Right. But then again, in the desert, with the right, with magnifying glasses and different things, you can get things up to temp to make them edible anyways to cook. Right. I mean, we could fry an egg in Iraq. It was so darn hot on the hood of the Humvee. So.
Yeah. Again, this is seasonal as far as.
Yeah, it just really depends.
Yeah.
Right. So again, those are all things that you want. And, and anything you can hunt or fish during that time, that's great. What?
Jonathan Ash just commented, I'm going to say this at the risk of being kicked out of the community. My wife keeps tons of essential oils in the house, and they go a long way for burns, bug bites, headaches, stomach aches, etc. Please don't make me leave.
You're all set, brother. Hey.
I will buy into the essential oils.
I mean, the bad guys will smell you coming a mile away.
The
but
husbands secretly agreed that they work, and they just don't want to admit it.
I've never used an essential oil ever, so I'm just going to put that out there. But I'm sure they work. I mean, actually, wait a minute. I preferred the Skin So Soft to the DEET because it wasn't that obnoxious smell and all that stuff. So maybe whatever works. Whatever works, brother. I'm not going to judge. If you start wearing it for fun, then, hey, we might have something to talk about. But, other than that, I think you're good to go. So are there any questions on some of the things that I just went over? There's nothing like everyone who's been, you've all prepped for whether it be a snowstorm in the north during the winter or a hurricane in the south. It's not much different than that, except you got to remember that your primary threat is people. So, depending on how many people you're around, depends on how many people you may be facing. That's why living in the city is never recommended. why we don't live in the city and never will, because living in the city, you can't defend against that many people, particularly an apartment or a condo or anything like that. Well, that's great, Brandy. So you know what? You've got enough stuff to go shopping anywhere where the masked police will come for you. You know,
He has
some of
40
this
bottles of alcohol.
Well, that's all good.
Awesome.
The alcohol's all good. The alcohol's not going to go bad.
No, I'm just saying he took it seriously.
Yeah, and having that alcohol, it's got multiple purposes, right? You know, and maybe you might want to, depending on the type of alcohol you bought. I mean, Friday's coming, so I'm just saying.
We heard we got a few people drunk.
We heard we got a few people drunk last Friday, and there's a ton of stuff out there. Funny guy, it just there are so many books, and I've got some on my shelves up here. Encyclopedia of country living. I've got prepper books, survival books. All those are all great, and you want to have those. Particularly, you all guys all know how fickle the internet can be in the countryside. Now imagine there's something going on, and how hard that's going to be able to. You might not be able to get on the internet. So we've all become YouTube junkies on how to, and you go watch. Imagine if that's gone. So, getting a fixer-up library like I have here, which is a bunch of books that my grandfather had on how to build a window, how to build a door, how to, lay pavement, how to do plumbing, how to do electricity, how to do that. Right now we got the easy mode with how to and watch a YouTube video, but if that's all gone, or, you're going to need another method.
Fighting the generation that doesn't know how to use a can opener, I think we're all set.
Sure. But the most important thing I ever said out of all this, right, was three things: food, water, firearm. Food, water, firearm. Those are the essentials to keeping your family safe. And that's why living in communist states where they take away your ability to own a firearm is such a travesty, because you can't protect. You can, but it's very hard, and you need to be in a certain skill set, and you need to be in shape, and you need to be ready to fight if you want to defend your family without a firearm. Yeah, the SAS Survival Handbook is gold, and I actually have that on the other side of that wall in some boxes that I haven't unpacked in a while. But this is just a ton. You can Google them and choose your own. Read the reviews. Get the biggest one. The biggest, most expensive one. That's what I always buy. Just kidding.
Truth. And then he says, I'm just going to buy two.
Yeah, because one is none. One is none, two is one, right? And then, you give one away to your buddy who needs one later, all right?
And then you buy two more.
Yeah, whatever, because you want to be a force multiplier. So let me get into a little bit of prepping here, where I disagree with one of my good friends who's a pastor, and I'm not going to say his name. Hey, Scott, I see you're coming in late. Welcome. I know you're in Vegas, so, it's still earlier there. About whether Christians should prep. I am a strong believer in prepping. There's many preppers in the Bible, everything from Joseph to Noah, to countless other people in the Bible. There are preppers, because that's responsible living, right? I mean, it seems like in the Old Testament, every other day, every other passage or every other book or every other whatever, there was a drought and pestilence in the land, and everyone was fleeing, and if they didn't have supplies to get out of there, there'd be no one left.
Yeah, I think that the counter where other Christians would come in and say, no, prepping isn't encouraged or isn't necessary, is, the God will provide for you every day. Worry about today, not tomorrow. And the whole, the gathering manna thing. And no matter how much they gathered, it always just resulted to be enough for today. And so I think that's what. Well,
when you're rolling with Moses and you're rolling with Jesus, Jesus can turn, a few fish into feed 5,000. I've yet to see anyone else do that. Right. So I'm going to say that he's going to equip us all with a skill set that we need. And there are certain of us out there, and we all have the ability to educate ourselves to be able to prep. So, me and my pastor friend were talking, and he's like, if I had 100 days of food and 100 people showed up, I'd give it all away on the first day. And I said that just guarantees everyone's going to die.
Well, and then that also begs the question, is that 100 verified fellow believers. Like we had this conversation the other day as far as whether you're called to help everyone or whether you're called to help your brother and sister in Christ.
Right.
And so
you're called to help, but you can only, are you really helping if all you bought them was another day? Right. So I would take 10 that would be able to work the land and be able to provide for 20, and that 20 be able to do 40. And that's how you grow things back. So what's news unit saying? Can you translate?
News unit is saying, it said, it's funny how people think they're going to bug out and take the USA back with their AR-15 and their Molly pack. Are we going to hit the thicket soon and either freeze or get bit by mosquitoes? And then he said, not a good situation.
It's not a good situation. And going up head to head against the military, that's not going to work, right? That's not what it's about. That's why asymmetrical warfare would be the way this war would be fought. It wouldn't be long picking lines, facing each other. It wouldn't be tanks against tanks. That's not how it would be. It would be horrible. It would be civilian casualties like we saw in Iraq, or we saw in Northern Iran, or Northern Ireland, or countless other places. It's going to be things like that. And can a politician ever be truly safe? I don't think they can. I don't think maybe some, but there's not enough assets and there's not enough protections for everyone out there and everyone's family to protect everyone. So I just think it would be horrible, which is why we want to avoid it at all costs. Bosnia, I saw it firsthand.
Kind of prepping what you need list, as you said, is for if there is this initial spike in kind of post inauguration transition violence, right, in which it's increasingly not safe to be out in public city areas. That's what this initial round of prepping is for, versus a longer term, like what's going to happen with the country prepping.
Yeah. There's different scales. There's, hey, we had to go into martial law. Trump declares martial law, whatever, right? There's violent protests that erupt and cities are burning, like when MLK was assassinated, like we saw with BLM riots, except it's more widespread. And, there's, people are getting bricks through their windows and death threats because they put Trump signs in their front lawn. So news unit, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out your tone, if you're being cool or if, you're trying to say that. A lot of talkers are going to, of course, they're going to cave and they're going to do a lot of things. And then there's going to be a lot of people who don't. The key right now is to figure out is, are you going to be a loud voice out there broadcasting and trying to help other people to get where they need to be so they can live quiet lives, prepared, out of the limelight, so you're taking all the heat for them? Or are we all going to go to gray men? Are we all going to try to blend in and do this behind secret boards and try to help each other and all that? And I'm sure there's going to be both, right? We are trying to help as many people as we possibly can, just like our pastor friend said. This is our way of helping, right? If I can educate 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people to be prepared so they don't have to go out in the town, leave, and we can avoid tragedies, that's fine. The best people who survive what's coming are those who have lots of land, who just hunt every day in their deer stands or whatever. They stay in the thickets hunting. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I mean, they have an advantage. People have lots of land for lots of reasons, right? Usually it's why every one of us want a compound. It's why every one of us want to get out there and get away from it, because it's harder to find them. But many of our houses and many of these places, if you can see the house from the road, which most places you can, or they live up on a mountain, but they cleared everything around it so the house is up there so anyone can shoot at the house that wants. Let me guess, let me say something. If you're in a place where a lot of civil unrest is happening and you had a big Trump sign on your house and you're up on a hill and everyone can see it, guess what everyone can aim at and pull the trigger and hit? Your house. I mean, so again, if I was building my dream home, it would look great, but people wouldn't be able to see it, right? They may try to do all that stuff, bro. Halting hunting and all that stuff. That's why you got to go some red places. Yeah, go ahead. Allow that. Show that. Hey, Chris, because you threw a word in there like ass, I think it tried to ban you, but I allowed it. I tried to hide it. So God isn't going to come down and miracle your ass. He's going to do the work. You got to do the work. Prepping puts you in a position to help others more than if you're desperate depending on others for charity. I couldn't agree with you more, and that's my whole motto, right? The better prepared I am, the more people I can help. If I'm a disaster, then I'm going to have to do what I have to do to take care of my family, which, read between the lines there. I predict a C-130 gunship is going to annihilate a group of good old Trump boys who decide they're going to play Army. It very well may be possible that if a bunch of good old boys are about to do some harm, a Spectre 130 gunship would do a lot of damage to them. But the same thing could be said for Antifa, or the same thing could be said for BLM. It really depends on who's doing the harm, right? If this degrades into tribal warfare on each other, where the government's kind of like a non-neutral party, but there are militias out there on both sides doing horrible things to one another, they're going to smoke both. So that's what I would say to you. And again, we're about as pro, if it's not a secret, we're a pro-Trump, pro-God group here. And if you're not that, I don't know why you're here. Yeah, Antifa are peaceful. Okay, I'm done. Is that sarcastic? Because Antifa is the furthest thing from that. John, as a military and law enforcement vet, and a percentage of Antifa gets to burn down things with BLM, of course. Yeah, well, okay. All right, he's just, yeah, okay. As a military and law enforcement vet, what percentage of police and military do you think would just follow orders and incarcerate and fight civilians? Most, because they're going to look out for their own best interest. As long as they get to keep their guns and provide for their family and they get a paycheck, you're going to see it. And you saw them enforce COVID BS. I almost swore there. BS COVID things and arresting families and, business owners and all that stuff. So they're going to do what they're told. Is it going to be 100%? No, but it's going to be more than you thought. And everyone who said that the military wouldn't do that and this and that and the other thing, believe me, in a civil war, everyone gets bloody and everyone gets hateful. That's why they're so vicious, because someone killed your sister, your mother, your sister, your brother, your kid, your whatever, as collateral damage, and you didn't even know, and now you've got that hate in your heart. You just, everyone gets touched and everyone gets contaminated, and that's why they're so awful. They're so awful. They're so awful because you're not fighting an army a million miles away where you don't see that you're fighting amongst your families, guys. And roving men with small arms, do horrible things, including rape and torture and murder and everything else you can possibly imagine. You don't want that here. The left doesn't care about their fodder agitators. As soon as they don't need them anymore, they will turn on them as well. I agree. Can you do a screen capture? Yes, I can do screen captures. I use OBS, so I can do screen captures. And I can play videos. It's just something I have. We were going to try it tonight, but when Facebook, for some reason, wouldn't allow us to dual stream, something came up. It's against the UCMJ. Yeah, but they're going to, brother, if there's one thing that we've learned, Archangel, is that the rule of law is nothing. They just broke every rule of law. They've been breaking every rule of law, and they only enforce it on one side. So, I fully expect them to do whatever the heck they're going to do. Maybe the military will stay out of it. Maybe we'll have some moral people. Maybe it'll be DHS. If you every fictional prepper book, you're fighting DHS, the heroes fighting DHS and invading Cubans and Russians and Chinese and everything else, right? I always thought that those in the military would have a hard time fighting friends and family. They won't fight friends and family, Scott. They're going to take people from the north and send them to the south to fight Southerners. And they're going to take people from the south and send them north to fight Northerners. They're not stupid, right? They're going to, that's how you would do it. That's how I would do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
There's already enough animosity still from the first Civil War from North and South. Right?
How ridiculous is that?
It's, East Coast, West Coast, NATO forces. It's all it's all hypothetical, and you can go down a lot of different rabbit holes here, and I don't think anyone's going to be smarter for it.
Do you think that any of the sanctuary city kind of movements that happened about we're a gun sanctuary town that happened, Do you think that those police who kind of agreed to that sanctuary action would stick by that? Would stick by what they said to those citizens?
Here's why I don't think the sanctuary thing will buy us time.
It will buy us time.
It will buy us time because they will have to pass laws and legislation that'll be challenged, that'll have to go to the Supreme Court, which who knows what will happen there anymore, right? But, the reason why California was able to get over on the sanctuary cities and all these other places with sanctuary cities is because Republicans typically don't overreach. Mm-hmm. Right? They're all about their whole philosophy is limiting government. So, and that goes to the states. The Democrats are the exact opposite of that. They're all about federal overreach and telling states how to do things and taking away freedoms from the states to dictate how they live. We already have a kind of balkanization of our country. They're called states, right? So if you want to live the way they live in Alabama, you move to Alabama. If you want to live the way they live in California, you go to California or Massachusetts or Oregon or Idaho or Texas or whatever, right? But that is what it was all about, meaning whatever social policies you wanted, and then the federal government started inserting itself into that. So there will be some amount, and we will, for a while, we might get lucky, and it might be 10 years before they wrote in on a country or on a government, or it may be in 2, right? Maybe the way they did it, if all the things are true, and again, I don't know if they're true. I've seen a lot of evidence, but I haven't seen it in a forensic court where it's proven to be true, right? You can see a video where people can make anything, right? The Hollywood can make anything. Yes. People can make anything. We just saw a video of Trump that wasn't even made by Trump, where he put together a speech and they spliced things together and you can do whatever you want. Yeah. So until that stuff is held in a forensic court, I don't know what's real and what's not anymore. And that's the problem with all this stuff. Right, that's the problem with all the stuff we were sharing to our original talking point from the first section, right? So a friend of mine showed me this. It might be of interest to show how the movie industry thrives on this, and perhaps someone knows what's ahead.
Nothing came through there as far
Nothing
as
came through because he's not a moderator. Just send me the link. I'll check it out before I air it. Again, I have nothing against you. I'm not going to randomly throw something up on the screen and have it be porn or something else. I'm not saying you do that, but unless you're somebody I knew personally, I wouldn't ever directly show something that I haven't screened first. And we can do that another. Are you aware that the right side broadcasting is making claim that President Trump will make a speech tomorrow from Alamo, Texas? I have heard that. I haven't heard the Alamo, Texas part, but I've heard every day that Trump, every day for the past.
Since Wednesday, at least.
Since at least Wednesday, that he was making a speech that night. And tune in at 8 o'clock to wherever. Nothing. Tune in to what so-and-so, whatever. Yeah, I don't do that kind of nonsense. Just saying, I'm sure you will. And, once we have more of a rapport and, whatever, I'll be willing to do that. I mean, I was meeting up with fans of the podcast at the march. So, I mean, it's all good. All right. So here we got Motaz Hasek come in. So saying nothing helpful. So goodbye. Okay. So let's hide him from channel. Done. So anyways, so go check out Right Side Broadcasting Channel and take a look. I 100% News Unit. I will. I'm always looking for good sources. I just like even Steve Bannon. I considered him brilliant. And I was watching him day in, day out. But after 1,000 broken promises, there's nothing I can find credible there.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. It's really hard to kind of suss out what is a broken promise that was just hot air, and what is something that was a credible piece of information that other people down the chain didn't hold up their end of it. The courts didn't.
Right. I mean, they teed it up
to see evidence that was legitimate. They just refused to see.
But we've all heard there's a 99.999%. And it still may, again, I'm not going to put anything out of the possibility from happening. Trump may have 4 more years of president. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know about the insurrection. It's so over my head. I just have to plan that he's not going to be in power, which is worst case scenario, and then adapt off of the realities that come off of that. So,
Chris Scott, are you talking about that video that came out like today? Or
yeah, the one where it's shows
the ad for his social media platform. Is that the one that you're talking about?
I don't know. It wasn't an ad for a social media platform. God bless you guys. I pray God opens your eyes soon to what you can't see. Thank you for helping me with prep. Hey, brother, I'll be more than happy to talk to you. I want to see everything that God wants to show me. Like I said, I believe he's in control of this, and I believe that things are going to happen, but right now it doesn't look so good. Does that mean I stop praying? No, it means I pray more for it. All right, it means that I am going more all in. It means that whatever's going to be done is going to be his will. Does that mean I'm going to like it? No.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you can go pages and pages, particularly through the Old Testament, and see how that worked out for people who, there were a lot of people had a really rough time. Let's just say it that way. I think that's the one. It was a bit confusing me. Yeah, to me it seemed like to show up in D.C. on the 20th, Scott. That's what it really looked like. If there's a war, I'll be on the front line. I bet. Where will you be on Jan 17th? I don't know what Jan 17th is. So, and you're obviously a troll, so goodbye, wank guy.
It's great. Handle.
Yeah.
Really take you seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, you did the wrong one.
What did I do?
Funny guy.
Oh, didn't mean to do funny guy.
Here, I'll take care of it.
Okay. So you got funny guy back?
I'll work on it.
Okay. Sorry, funny guy. I didn't mean to drop you. You're good to go. Last thing, I don't have time for trolls here, and I don't.
Very good.
All right. Ken Graves just confirmed that we are good to go on Wednesday. So when the next show that we have, let's talk about the next show. The next show we have will be out live at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, and I will premiere it at 9 p.m. that same night. All right, so you'll still be here. We'll be here in chat. We won't be obviously talking like this, but we'll be able to talk back and forth on the points. And I will definitely get the funny guy and bring him back. I did not mean to do that.
I did.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. And Chris Scott, yes. January 21st, Jesus will still be on his throne.
That's correct. Yeah, that'll be EST, Scott. So everything I do is an EST because I live in EST. So every time I ever put out,
me to go to Montana.
Yeah, unless Lauren wants to go to Montana or Wyoming or one of the Wyoming was the reddest state in the union this last time around. So I'd love to go there. It looks really pretty, but we'll see.
Great for a visit.
Yeah. So, anyways. Thank you guys so much. So again, we'll be on Friday. So Wednesday at 11, Friday at 9. All right. We'll premiere this in chat. In text on Wednesday night at 9. Friday we'll be live and it's BYOB. So bring your wine, beer, whatever your adult beverage of choice. We'll kick back and we'll celebrate surviving another week and kind of wrap everything up. All right, so I'm going to pray us out now, and we'll go from there. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you now. We ask that you heal this nation, Lord, to help us see each other as brothers and sisters in you. We ask that you soften hearts and open ears and open eyes to the truth, Lord. We ask that you expose all the lies that are out there. We ask that you bring calm, cool heads, Lord. And we ask that you bring everyone closer to you in this. Revival is the only way out of this, eternally. So I pray all these things in Jesus' name, amen. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please like, share, subscribe, share us. We get shadow banned because we talk about real stuff. So thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.